legal education, and it is a play on words both ways, from the perspective of making sure that us as academics can future-proof legal education and that we also provide future-proofing legal education. College of Law teaches predominantly postgraduate courses. What we have is a situation whereby we have students who've completed one degree in one discipline, and then they've also done their law degree, and then they come to the college for a between 15 and 20 and 30-week course, which is a graduate diploma to teach them legal practice per se. It's a regulated curriculum. And as I said before, as Ronan pointed out, we've been teaching the future of law in one way, shape, or I have been in one way, shape, or form for the last 5 years, in the form of a lecture, online presentations to students, etc., face-to-face, tutes, etc., however we can get it into the curriculum. And of course, the issue is, as always, the curriculum is overcrowded and regulated. And of course, this sort of stuff, while it's valued by our management, etc., and our students, obviously, has to be fitted in. So what I wanted to do is just show you basically the themes from my own Future of Law presentations that I've given to students and lecturers over the last 5 years. This is the latest version, and I've taken all the meat out, so to speak, but I wanted to show you the outline and the rationale for what we're doing and how we're doing it, etc. So from my perspective, I wanted to answer the conference question because I don't think I'll be here for very long, straight up. And why shouldn't we? We're academics, we should answer our own questions. We're always saying to students, answer the questions. The key messages are quite simple. There is a future for lawyers. I'm glass half full, and I'd like to think that when I'm talking to a room full of budding lawyers that we still are glass half full, notwithstanding, we've got to be realistic as well. It is still bright, but there's a caveat. We need to be smarter, different, and of higher value. I've been practicing law a long time. It's always been difficult. It's always been difficult in our practice to get a job, to stay in a job, to move, to pivot, to go deal with this challenge and that. I've heard that for a long, long time. I still believe in all those three things, and it's reflected in the presentation that I do to students constantly, and I believe it from that perspective. To suggest that we can just do what we've done pre-COVID or what we did 10 years ago, etc., is just nonsense. And there is an urgency and a fastness in my voice and in my tone about this stuff that I reflect to students constantly, in the fact that, yes, we do have to do something smarter, different, and more high value, because there are a lot of challenges at the moment that we face. The sort of themes that I start with is, at the moment, I make it clear we are in a brave, new and uncertain world. We're not going to go back to pre-COVID. Certainly we're transitioning from crisis to recovery to a transitional phase to new normal, and no disrespect to anyone that's obviously suffering or dying of COVID at the moment. Thankfully, I think we're in that transitional phase, but we're certainly, I don't think, in a position to be really clear about what a new normal looks like. And I think at the moment this is what we'll be like for about another 2-3 years personally. The starting point that I really try and push is everything is up for grabs. And as a lawyer, you should try and get it, and you should get everything. So the starting point is the future of everything. And when I say lawyers, I mean, I'm talking law students, graduates, university graduates, lawyers, young lawyers, all the way through. And I'm talking professional services firms, big law firms, mid-tier firms, in-house counsel, sole practitioners, partners, the lot. We try and cater the presentation to everything, notwithstanding we're giving it to graduate lawyers at this stage. But the future of everything, I talk about pretty much anything. What's happening in society, it might be economic, it might be environmental, it might be sociological, geopolitical, demographic, etc. But it has to be big picture so that they can see what's affecting them, what's affecting their law firm, and what's most importantly affecting their clients, so that they can pitch it accordingly. I work on the basis that obviously we need to be as holistic as possible, and we need to be multidisciplinary. I'm a firm believer in the theme of collaboration, and you already know I'm a firm believer that we're not going to be replaced anytime soon. So that's really important, the pitch that we do with that. The values revolution, absolutely. We're totally different, aren't we? We're different people pre-COVID, no question about it whatsoever. We were changing pre-COVID as well, let's be frank. What are we changing like? There's circumstances happening at the moment right around the world, depending on where you are, etc. But certainly the values that we are as humans, as lawyers and in society, etc., generally are changing. I talk about the profession in transition. Again, I'm not saying for a moment that the profession hasn't been in transition for a long time, but it's certainly been accelerated, and COVID has accelerated that through digitalisation. I think innovation is still important. The teaching of new law models is very important, so I'll focus on that. But right now, the online consumer is here to stay, and that's a different consumer that we've seen before. And as a lawyer, clients no longer want to see me in the office, etc. So it's important that that message gets through. To try and say we're heading towards some sort of semblance of new normal ignores the debates at the moment between new versus old, legacy versus future, and the obvious tensions that are there. Okay, there's no question about that, and that needs to be pointed out. Amongst that all, though, there's opportunities. And look at the complexity about being a lawyer at the moment. Pick up a paper, read the headlines, look at the problems that we've got in the world, the issues that have come out of COVID. Look at all the emerging areas of related societal areas of practice that will require lawyers and that are legally oriented, etc. As I say to students, I see lawyer, 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 and I also see jackpot, jackpot, jackpot opportunities, all right? And I don't say that lightly. I see positive things there for lawyers to get involved in that can make a sustainable legal practice into the future. And that's why I highlight the lawyer as the go-to person post-pandemic, because everything's more complicated. It takes time, it's difficult, it's uncertain, there's no simple answers, etc. And just trying to get that message to young lawyers, graduate lawyers coming into the profession to say, hey, listen, guys, there still is opportunity for you. You need to see your role, as Kat said before, trusted advisor and value adder. It's there. It's been set up for you during COVID, etc. Then I move on and say, look, you've got to think different. You can't do the same thing all the time. It's just not possible. So we've got to change. The client user experience, fundamental. Legal design thinking, fundamental. A fresh pair of eyes, innovation in the profession. And guess what? Billable hours with AI, generative AI coming in, etc., and just the very nature of pricing, etc., I think value pricing is going to be more and more important. The students always want to talk about generative AI. I could spend hours doing on that. It's side-by-side augmented tech as far as I'm concerned. It's only as smart as the user. I say that in the nicest possible way, but you people are smart and you get what I'm saying. The profession demands better, faster and cheaper. Society, the consumer, everyone wants that. Anyone in this room that remembers being a lawyer or still a lawyer knows how hard it is to deliver all free. You need tech to do that. So the big message that I put through is what's called the BLT combo. Business, law and technology, the ability for lawyers to really grasp those concepts together, collaboratively. And business is the most important part. The law and the technology, in my humble opinion, are just enablers. Like clients come to us, they want to know the law, they want to know the boundaries, they want to know the risks, they want to know what it is, how far they can stretch it and how they can use it. Technology is the same thing. Fantastic, always changing, use it, great. But it's just an enabler at the end of the day. Once you enable and you're comfortable with the level of technology that you enabled, it's not as if to say every day it's changing, notwithstanding generative AI. But business is different. And that's the one that I really push to students. And I say, listen, you've got to understand the business. And when I say business, yeah, I'm talking business per se. I'm also talking predominantly the business of the client, embedding yourself as that trusted advisor within the client, understanding who your client is. And I don't care if your client's doing a conveyance or a will or negotiating an international peace treaty. You need to understand what your client is about, what they're trying to achieve, what they're doing, and the industry they're in, the business that they're in, the profession that they're in, and business per se. And amongst all of that, you'll be able to add that value I was talking about and be their trusted advisor and leverage yourself into the future. In the future, we talk about emerging legal practice areas. And what I try and point out to them is practice areas that I can see 5, 10, 15, 20 years into the future, so that they can see not only have we got new practice areas coming up, based on new technologies, The obvious one that worked was AI 5 years ago. At the moment, I'm talking to them about neurotechnology. I'm talking about quantum computing. I'm talking about autonomous vehicles, because I think those are the ones coming up. But how do you adapt those also into your current practice areas? And invariably, clients will come to you about both the emerging technologies and the emerging technologies embedded in the existing practice areas. Second order effects. I mean, look at big tech 5 years ago and look at how much litigation, regulation, compliance, privacy, risk has come out of that. So we need so many lawyers both to understand big tech and both to understand the legacy of big tech. AI. The legacy of AI is being played out at the moment. What's it got written about it? Lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. The talent skill sets we went through with CAT, etc. I'm a great believer. I like agility, curiosity, lifelong learning, which they always don't seem to like when I say that. But at the end of the day, I want lawyers that get it. And if you don't get it, it's going to be really hard in the future. I also want lawyer as the narrative for the future of law. And when by that I say, from a high school kid who wants to do law to someone who retired 10 years ago, all of us should be the narrative for the future of law. We've been there, we're aspirational, we've done it, we've learnt lessons from it, we need to collaborate, really important. If you put that all together, I see a bright future of law, but I also see multiple futures of law. Every one of us in this room has leveraged off that. Every one of us in this room, if we want to, can continue to leverage off that. I'm shocked at my humble age, but I've got so many opportunities in this profession. And that's what I say to the students and the people that I teach, etc. There is a future for lawyers, etc. And that's pretty much all I want to say. Thank you for listening to me. My email address is there, and as I've said, it will soon be past my bedtime.